We're back another week,
Hey, I know. We're both still here.
and I don't know if you can tell, but they moved us back down to the closet this week.
I know.
Is this officially
But
a
we
closet?
can,
or?
we can actually know that it's clean.
Yeah,
I
it's
came
pretty,
in with the Lysol and the
it's-
Clorox
it's
wipes.
pretty
There's going to be
sterile.
no germs in Cindy
It's pretty
World.
sterile. But well, we're glad to be back for another week.
On Super Tuesday, another
The
Super
world
Tuesday.
hasn't ended yet.
Well, we'd never know because our president keeps saying, "Don't worry about it. It'll go away in April. Don't worry about it." No,
Okay.
yeah, don't worry about it.
Well, I noticed that I'm a member of Costco, proud of it, and I go to Costco, and any other time you go back to the aisle with the toilet paper and it's in the same aisle, water, toilet paper, clean stuff. Nothing. There's nothing back there except brawny paper towels, and then I saw people putting brawny paper towels in their cart. I'm thinking, man, that's going to be kind of rough going right there.
Well,
but I
you
guess
got
it's better than nothing.
2 weeks. How much toilet paper can you assume you would need for 2 weeks?
You know how much I have?
How much?
You don't want to know.
You have a whole room full, I bet.
I have to say, because we stock up when something's
You had
on
8
sale.
kids.
No, not anymore. It's just me and my wife. But
I'm still used to shopping like that.
no, but
though.
we have, I don't know, probably enough toilet paper to last us until, I don't know, Armageddon.
Well, good. In case I run out, I'll call you.
I'm gonna sell it for $1,000 a roll.
I went into Walmart and I got my income tax return, so I always.
Oh, you know what they say on a res?
What?
You're all taxed up.
I'm taxed up,
Got
so
all
I figured.
taxed up.
And I usually go and do a big grocery shopping, but I was saving my money for the trip we're not going on. So once we found out the trip was off, I went, and as I'm walking around Walmart, I'm looking around, I'm thinking, this is probably the place that the doctor said we shouldn't be hanging
be
around
there.
in. But I got $300 worth of groceries. Literally, it might last me the rest of my life. Ran out to Ponca Smokes, got 3 cartons of cigarettes. I'm ready. Lock me up, boss.
Everybody else is stocked up on toilet paper, bottled water, and hand sanitizer. You're stocked up on smokes and chocolate.
Did you see Costco is no longer giving out free food?
That breaks my heart.
I know, because it's your date day, you and your
Yeah,
wife.
that's what we do. It's our meal. That's our meal part of our date. But another thing, when I told you I went to Costco, we're sitting there at the table, having our hot dog and drink for $1.50. My neighbor comes up and says, "Hey, saw you on TV. I didn't know I lived next to a celebrity." And I'm like, You watched the show? He goes, yeah, I was flipping
Why are
through
we
the
like
channel.
that, though? Why are we like that? Why are we surprised when people tell us they watch the show?
I just don't know who would spend their time watching us, that's all.
My kids don't even watch.
I know. Why do we do this other than the occasional neighbor? that
Because,
comes up?
my friends watch it.
All right, well, anyway, I was a bit surprised, but
So, yeah, can you get sanitizer? I haven't found hand sanitizer anywhere. Now they're putting up recipes on how to make it yourself. Vodka and hello. Uh-oh.
No, I'm not going to do that.
If I have to lock myself in the house, I'll be drinking my aloe vera. I'll be drinking my hand sanitizer.
Well, hopefully we'll survive and we'll be back for at
Here's
least a
the
couple
thing.
more weeks.
A lot of our viewers are our friends, so they are a little older. If you are 60 or above, just don't be foolish. From what I understand from the CDC, no movies, no concerts, wash your hands.
No
Don't
casino.
touch your face. No casino, and look at...
Except the tribal casinos, you can go there.
And
Having said that one tribal casino had to shut down because some of their employees
I
had it.
just read a post from Rosebud, and it said, we're going to get the virus. We're not going to have good health care. Take care of yourself. So, you know what it's going to do? It's going to hit the poverty-stricken places pretty bad.
The plus side to this, whenever you go into the bathroom now here on campus, guys are lined up to wash their hands.
I sing happy birthday to myself two times.
I was taken aback by that because usually you're probably aware 50% of the guys that go in and don't wash their hands.
Stanford, Harvard, all those are closed down.
But I go in there and I'm washing my hands and I notice there's people lined up behind me And they weren't just going to and leaving. They were, I thought, I guess that's a plus. People are trying to wash their hands.
It's dead on campus. Usually when I walk in here on Tuesdays, there's people walking around, there's none. They've closed Princeton, they've closed, the East Coast is pretty much closing down. They called in the National Guard in New Jersey. They're roping off a like 3-block area and ringing it with the National Guard.
We have been told to prepare to go online.
That's what I got that email too, and luckily I am online.
Yeah, you are.
And what's kind of odd is they want us to do it by the end of the week.
Yeah, we're having a meeting tomorrow to verify that we're all ready to go.
Here's what I'm concerned about. Okay, what about the kids in the dorms? Do they go home?
I don't know.
My guess is if we shut down, it's going to be after spring break, because here's the problem. All these kids are all going different. We were going to St. Thomas. Cindy Killscrow's on a cruise right now, which can you ever imagine if someone would call you tomorrow and say, I'll give you a free cruise to cruise anywhere you want? I'd be like, no.
No, not going.
No. Can you imagine
No.
you and I, if we had to be stuck in a tiny little cabin while they wouldn't let us land, you and I would lose. Oh, poor Monica. I would hate to be there with you, or me. I would go, excuse my language, but bat S-word crazy.
Yeah, I believe that. Mm-hmm. Well, you wanna talk about something positive?
Let's do.
I'm going to throw this out there. It's that, having said all this stuff that's going on, it's also a very important time in our country. I'm not going to talk politics. I'm going to talk about getting counted.
Oh, can I talk politics for just 1 minute? Here's the thing. It's down to 2 candidates. I get some of you love one candidate. I guess some of you love the other candidate. What I'm already starting to hear that concerns me is if it's not this candidate, I'm not voting. I want to say to you people, then you're an idiot. Then you are voting for Donald J. Trump. Personally, I would vote for a squirrel if it was running against Trump. I will vote for whichever candidate gets elected because I care more about my country than politics. This is what happened last time. And who's our president now?
Well, before coming up here, we were having a little political discussion, and someone felt the need to interject their opinion, and I just felt like saying, "Oh, so you want to exercise your white privilege and tell me how wrong I am?"
Yes.
I just ignored it and walked on. And that's what I like to do generally with political discussions, because it leads to
Hard
nowhere
feelings
but
because everybody's already made up their mind.
Bad thought. So
Let's not worry about the candidates. Let's worry about the country, shall we? Let's
and
have a president.
having said that, that's why I wanted to focus at least part of our discussion on the census.
Well, before we do,
You want to go to politics?
Before we do, we need a president who's going to be honest with the country about what's going on with this coronavirus. That's why there's so
Kenny.
much fear.
I'm trying.
We're fear-mongering. Oh, it's a plot. It is not. There are people who are supporters of the president, old people down in Florida, who are having what they call germ parties. They're all getting together and they're all having this big party because our president told them they were fine.
It's been more than a minute,
It'll be
hasn't
gone
it?
by April.
Well,
So what I'm saying to you people who are voting, this vote is for the soul of the country. Vote. Vote blue. No matter who. That's my new mantra. Vote blue. I would vote for Kermit the Frog. And I would vote for you.
That's not necessarily my stance. So it's not the opinion of the show collectively.
No, and I will say that's why we get along so well. We have very different views, but it's America. I still have the right to say this.
And don't take that as an endorsement of either
I would vote,
Trump,
like I
Biden,
said.
or
Oh, you can
Bernie.
take it as an anti-endorsement of Trump.
For you, yeah.
Yeah,
And,
for me. Not for Ed. I
think-
speak exactly
I think
for myself.
there's no secret that I'm not a big fan of Donald Trump, but I don't want to go on record. See, that's what I think sort of hamstrings tribes is that we endorse certain candidates, and usually it's losers, so we have very little political influence, specifically in state politics.
Well,
So that's why I generally like to stay away from that. But Having said that, I'll give this a third attempt.
Well, I just have
Third-
one more thing to say. If you go to each of these.
I'm trying not to touch
Each
my
of these
face.
I know. If you go to each of these candidates' website, you can read their native policy. Both Bernie and Biden have really good native policies. So if that's where you're coming at it, look, you got to do a little investigating before you say you're not voting for someone. And I realize we've got 300-year-old white men up there, which should make us all very concerned either. But what do you think about Biden and Bernie going out still shaking hands with everybody,
I don't care.
doing all that?
I don't care.
Would you? If you were a candidate, I'd be elbow bumping everybody.
I don't, you know, I.
Did you see
can I
that
talk
Creighton
about-
canceled their baseball series?
Can I talk about?
Also, did you see?
You know, before the show,
one
every
more
show
thing.
she comes, I got nothing. I got nothing.
I want to ask, I was thinking about you when I heard this. What would you think about the NBA playing games with no fans?
I don't care.
Do you think they would still play?
I don't
The
know.
players are saying we don't want to play with no fans, and the
don't know.
owners are saying we don't want fans.
I don't know.
We'll wait and see what's going to happen. Now, feel free to talk. I'm done. The political statement portion of the program is over.
One more thing. I got one more
Unless I get
thing.
worked up one more time.
No, I wanted to at least put this out there. One of the positive things you can do for your community, and especially Native communities, is to get counted. One of the things that we always complain about is that our voice never gets heard. We need to make sure that our numbers are counted so that at least we have numerical representation. Granted, I'm not saying it's going to guarantee that, you know, whatever our concerns or political issues or whatever issues we have are going to be heard, but at the very least, they know that we're there.
Yeah.
The government needs to know that we are out there. There's other
Which
purposes.
is a hard sell in Indian country because we spent our life attempting to stay out of the purview of the government.
And the
So this
government
is one
made
area-
numerous attempts to get rid of us. So I understand the entire historical argument about not wanting the government to come knocking on your door. I get it. However, times have changed.
Times have changed dramatically. We
And-
have to
and
be
we-
counted.
It's important and vital for us to be counted. So if you know that the census is going to be in your area, make an effort to be counted. That's important for us to do. And here's another thing that I don't know if people realize the importance of the census. But in doing your family history work, do you know how much of an asset that has been to my wife in tracking down my ancestors? I don't do anything. My wife does all of it. But the census tracts has provided a great deal of information about our family, and not all of it is there. So it's important that we be counted for today, but for historical purposes as well.
And for money, for Maza. If the government is looking at the numbers of Native Americans and they think there's only 2 million, when in reality there's 4 or 5 million, they're going to give a lot less money because they're only dealing with what they
Well,
think is 2
I think we
million.
need to clarify that for some people in the audience who think, well, maybe you talk about that money the government gives those Indians?
I'm talking about Indian health. I'm talking about the same thing that they get off the reservation
Well,
here.
then I'm just saying we need to clarify that.
Yes,
Because when
no,
you
I'm
say,
talking about Indian
"Oh,
health."
there'll be more money if you guys get counted." We're just saying for purposes of
Funding schools.
funding for schools.
Funding Indian
all,
health.
All the things that other governments get funded for, that
That the state government gets funded for, but not the tribes.
yeah. So,
Some
so-
intelligent professor taught me
So
that.
just, it's important that you be counted and don't, you see a census, and they'll have little census things on that will identify them as.
I just
a
fill it
census
out.
worker.
I just fill out my census thing and send it back in.
Yeah, but it's important, whatever way you do it, we just need to be counted, that's all I'm saying.
Unless, and when you do identify as Native American, they ask your tribe. If you don't know what your tribe is, don't click that box.
No, you
No.
need, don't pull another, what some other
EW.
candidate did.
I can't even say the word. People
know.
are still pretty upset about her
know.
dropping out of the race.
I'm not.
You know, me either, but it doesn't say much for what people in this country think about women. I will say that much.
Well.
No old white women. No, Elizabeth and Klobuchar are gone.
Well, shall we move on to another topic?
Please.
The old standard
Topic?
mascots. Illinois has introduced.
God, legalize pot,
Did-
introduce legislation. Chicago, Illinois got it going on.
Did you actually read what they're proposing, though?
No. I had a child with me all day.
Okay.
I tried to read things. He was pulling my hair.
I thought it was impractical. They're going to create a commission that if a school wants to keep their name, they have to go in front of this commission. They have to get the support from an Indian tribe that is located 500 miles from within their location. Because I don't think there's any federally recognized Indian land bases in Illinois anymore. So you have to go out to Wisconsin, or probably Wisconsin or Minnesota. So they're going to have to reach out to some tribe 500 miles away. Hey, can we do the tomahawk chop? You guys, we're honoring you.
You know, here's what's the bad news, though. They will always be able to find that one Indian.
No, and I was going to say, it was the Chicago Indian Center or something like that used to work with, the Chicago hockey team.
Mm-hmm.
And, that's sort of how they, justified continuing with the mascot. But the Indian Center, for some reason, as they say, got woke and said, we're not going to help you anymore. But they found this other nonprofit. I can't remember what the name of it is. They referenced it in this article, and he said, "Oh yeah, we'll work with you to make sure that." And they have all kinds of corporate sponsors on there, and they give you a page of, I think Chicago, the Chicago Blackhawks team, they have some corporate. That's. I suspect that's what's propping them up as an organization. So it would appear to those of us looking in that pretty much selling your Indianness for a corporate sponsor, so they can keep on using their.
As my grandpa used to say, you're selling us out for a fat cow.
I in the early days when I started doing this mascot stuff, I came up with what was called an Indian mascot offset.
What is that?
Did you ever hear of the carbon offsets?
No.
Yeah, you have.
No, I haven't.
No, it's when someone wants to be a polluter, but they like flying in their jets, their jet planes and stuff, and they like their manufacturing plants, so they will buy what they say is a carbon offset. I'm going to buy X amount so that you can go plant trees, so that I can still go and do my, fly in my jet and do all this other stuff that I want to do. It makes my conscience feel better because I'm buying an offset. So here's what I'm polluting, and I'm buying, these carbon offsets so that I'm carbon neutral, is what they said.
I was going to text you and I totally forgot. I read an article and it was called Passive Racism about mascots. Nike was one of the examples they used. Nike makes those native tennis shoes, has native lacrosse sponsors.
Mm-hmm. The
showing
boys.
it, but still give the shoes and all the advertising for the Washington team.
Oh yeah.
So
once again, it's like an offset.
Yeah, once again, it's don't look, what is it they said in The Wizard of Oz? Don't look behind the curtain.
No, what I'm saying is that they do that because, we're doing all this good over here so that we can make money and do stuff. It's an offset.
But here's the thing. Do you do that with your children? You can go ahead and spit on our neighbor as long as you say your prayers before bed. I mean, if you think about it, it's not even good parenting. How is it a good way to?
You know what I did?
What? I love it when you smile like that because I know it's
this
bad.
it was just tongue in cheek. It wasn't it wasn't serious. I made these, they had those little plastic things on there, that wristbands people
Yes.
used to make for a message or something like that. I had, I don't know, about 100 of them made up that said Indian mascot offset, and you can spend $5 for one, and then you can use your, it was,
Now I'm thinking about making them for powwow.
no, it was just to prove a point.
It's true.
That-
It's true.
That you could, it doesn't matter how pure you want to be, if you want to sit here and say, well, I don't, and this is why I'm consistent, not with the non-Indian entities, but with tribal schools as well, that are the chiefs or the Indians or the warriors or whatever. They should change as well. There's a lot of cool things that they can do and not use, the.
You're never going to
the
win
old-
that argument. You know it.
Well,
Supposedly it's
it
okay
is-
because it's us.
yeah, and that's not the case. My point is, when I say that, for example, a tribal school goes into, it's classic, happens up north all the time, where there's a school up there it's a non-Indian school, they're the Indians. And then you have a tribal school and going to play this school so they have the battle of the Indians, you're fake. And then when you go to
Does
another
it
school.
just hurt you to think that our grandchildren are going to have to be dealing with that stuff?
Well, that's why we
Did you think
pick
that?
and
Do you
choose our
think we'd be
battles.
farther along in the world in general than we are now? I literally thought it would be a better place for my grandchildren, and in a lot of ways, it is better. It is better than the 50s when we were born. I mean, I have a master's degree. That was not an opportunity for my mother. A lot of things are better, but I don't think we've come around as much as I thought we would. Until this last 4 or 5 years, I didn't realize how many people in America were so racist. I think we live in a little bubble that, our friends, we think the world is going to be better, and then something happens and all of a sudden all these people come out of the wall that we didn't even know existed. That prove that, no, the world is not getting to be a better place.
If I could remember the name of that nonprofit, they would be my knucklehead of the week.
Well, we'll just give them the knucklehead of the week and you figure out the name. You know what? You'll wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning.
That's what that group was
That's what
called.
it was.
Oh, it was
That
it was
makes
some
me so
corny name
mad.
too. I can't. I wish I could. I'm trying to touch my face. I'm like,
I know.
can't. Trying to put my glasses up, but I was all ready. But train of thought.
That happens to me quite a bit.
Yeah, let's get to that point, isn't it?
It is. And you know what? Good. Hopefully I'll forget all the people I don't like. Hopefully I'll forget all the bad things that have happened or that I've done in my life. Every once in a while, the kids will remind me of something. I'll be like, oh, that was me. Oh.
All right. Well, have you got any other? I have a knucklehead, and my Indian of the week is going to be those that will get counted.
My Indian of the week will be those that vote.
Well, you know what is sort of problematic for me is that we have these we live in Nebraska. For those of you that don't know, this is
For our
University of
international
Nebraska.
audience.
Yeah, for anybody that's maybe watching this from Iowa, we're in Nebraska.
At the beautiful University of Nebraska at Omaha, in the kitchen.
The White's Community Engagement Center. Beautiful, lovely building, and we're in the
Or
closet.
in the kitchen.
Anyway, when was the last time that we had a voice in picking the nominee here in Nebraska? I can't remember.
You know what? I think Franklin Mayer was a super delegate.
No, in terms of who gets.
Obama.
No, that, I don't even, it didn't even,
Obama
by that
won
point it was
Thurston
over.
County.
No, that was for the election. I'm talking
Yeah.
about the nominee.
Oh, yeah.
During the primary
Well, we're in
process.
Nebraska. It's May. We don't get a choice.
We don't get a choice. And so
Which, is probably good because I would have voted for one of the ones that's gone.
everybody gets all bent out of shape. What voice do we have? None.
Speaking of that,
None.
elders, order your ballots to vote in absentia, or what do they call them? In absentia is stuck in my
Absentee.
mind. Absentee ballots, because by that time, we don't know if that will be a big gathering. We don't know what's going to happen there. There could be fights. There could be a lot of things. So get your absentee ballot. Vote ahead. Then you won't have to
I
worry about
probably
it.
shouldn't have let it out in public that I have toilet paper, huh?
I know.
Really
I was
pounding on
thinking
my
in my
door.
mind, Sarah.
I need a
could run-
roll. I need a
Sarah could
roll.
run over there and get
Can
it
you
for
hook me up with the roll of toilet paper?
You know what it reminds me of? Sitting in the outhouse, realizing there's no toilet paper, and screaming at the top of your lungs for any kind of cousins to bring you any possible thing.
I remember going back to the res to my grandpa's place, and then them taking us out to the bathroom, and it was an outhouse. It was kind of a shock. I must
My
admit.
grandma and grandpa didn't have indoor plumbing till I was about 15.
Oh yeah, and they had to go pump water from a well.
My grandma did too. They
Yeah.
had it in her kitchen though,
Yep.
so she could just pump it in her kitchen.
That would be very that would not be feasible today.
They used to put a big tub on the kitchen sink and heat the water up on the stove,
I don't
and
want
we
to.
would
I don't want to
bathe.
know anymore.
They would bathe the little one first, and you know the littlest one peed in there, and then each older kid had to get in that water, and you
Well,
knew.
fortunately, we don't have to deal with those issues, but we may have to deal with bottled water and. no
Here's the
toilet
deal.
paper.
I have bottled water. I'll switch you if we need to.
I have bottled water too. I don't.
Why
I
do
don't
people?
know.
Well, you know what though? Is the water going to quit working? That's what I don't
I don't
understand. Why they
understand
tell
that
you to
either.
get water? What's going to happen? Is the water
And
going to
why
quit
is there a
working?
run on toilet paper?
If you got to be in the house under quarantine for 2 weeks, you got to make sure that the butt is clean.
All right. Well, on that note,
Take care.
but let's see. You won't be here next week, huh?
We might be here next week. We're tracing the pathways of the virus as long as it's for next week. Well,
Kenny-
good. Gretchen can be here with us as
Kenny-
long as the
Kenny already
virus is
got-
under control.
Kenny already
We'll
got
be
rid
here.
of you.
Yeah, well,
You know,
I might come.
our executive producer just made
I
an
might come
executive
or not.
decision. Anyway, Kenny's about ready to throw us out, and I think the janitor needs the closet back. So we'll see you hopefully in a week,
Yep,
maybe.
maybe.
In
The
mean-
week after is spring break.
In
We
the meantime,
definitely
remember
won't be
who's
here.
got toilet paper?
And who's got
This
water.
guy.
And Clorox wipes. I have quite a few.
I would see you.
Bye, everybody.
Down the
Have a good
road.
week.